Hi everyone, I am Zeiss, and on this channel I turn you into an RPG master. In today's video I would like to share some insight about my Lightning Sorcerer, which I played these days, and discuss other ways to play casters in RPGs in general. And let's see what I have for you here. So, let's discuss the stats on this character. I have enough strength to equip armor gear, at least the requirement, and up until this point I completed the campaign and did some first tier void realm maps like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, stuff like that. I didn't put any dexterity because I'm using a shield. I'll get to that in a moment. Enough vitality to actually wear good shields, and everything else to energy. What I intend to do from this point on is to keep adding more energy after leveling up, or as much as possible. The other important thing to note here is that I capped the resistances, and I'm also trying to get some more physical damage reduction, because physical damage in this game can actually be really dangerous, especially on Void Realm maps, which have a negative effect on character resistances. Okay, let's move on to the gear here. Like I said, I didn't put points on dexterity because I am using a sword and a shield. And in this case, when not wielding a staff, I should not care that much about evade and dodge and stuff like that, because I have a shield, I can block, and also it helps with armor. But let's see what I have here. So this famous sword, which probably every caster should get in this game, at least during the campaign, and at least until they manage to find and craft a good item, is this sword. You get this sword very easy during the campaign, during Act 4, but first you need the broken sword from the guy on the top, on the castle, right, on Act 3. So make sure to take note and get the sword from the Act 4 quest in the River of Flame on the Lava Monster. Okay, moving on here. The gloves are with resistances and HP regen in my case. Would have been nice if they have quick strike recovery, but I'll show an alternative glove in a bit. The helmet is not so good, but this +1 skill and the chance to get magic items does really help. 1 to skill for damage, of course, and who wouldn't want more magic items in this case, no matter the rarity, because crafting them is really easy. The chest piece here has resistances, dodge, casting speed, well, summoner damage that I don't care about, but you know how it goes. It's early end game, so we'll get better later on. The important thing is with the base has armor, which helps with physical damage mitigation, and I'm also using here the amethyst to get some energy, which is, like I already mentioned, the most important stat on the Sorceress. I'm using here all resistance belt with additional resistances, dodge, armor, and the so needed strength. We can of course go with armor belt here if it has resistances. No worries there. It would actually be better, but I didn't get a good one to actually replace this. So moving on here to the amulet, I have a sort of better alternative amulet with casting speed, which is really important for the sorcerer. She relies on casting a lot, but the important thing here is the elemental resists and ability +10. Ability +10 means all stats, as you can see. They all decrease when I remove it. And to make this sorceress tanky, I'm using this amulet for now. So let's go to the rings. Because it's a lightning sorceress, we're using lightning damage rings. Well, we can also use casting speed rings like these here, for example, but I didn't manage to get good affixes on them yet, so I guess that's it for now. And having in mind the sword is 30 casting speed and so much energy, I guess we're totally fine. But lightning damage rings with 2 resistances and damage, that's just really good. Okay, same goes here, 2 resistances, lightning damage, and also the attributes like strength, dexterity, blah blah. These are actually really important. So let's move on to the shield here. It's really easy to get shield, plus 2 skills to increase the damage, and also resistances. I actually have one more alternative shield here, which helps a lot with physical damage mitigation, in case I need it. Look at this. 23, that's quite the difference, right? But you can notice here how the damage changes significantly, excuse me. So every plus skill points you can get on the skills you're using, especially the damage dealing skill, that's always an insane benefit. But of course, try to not neglect defenses, because this is, in my humble opinion, the most common mistake in the action RPG genre. And then people are wondering why they die. Okay, never mind, right? So moving on to my boots here, 3 power S and the so much needed strength, so I can equip high-end armor, which not high-end, but the top armor gear that I could currently use, right? Now, let's talk about the alternative gear for a bit, because like I said, we're not wielding a staff here, it's a sword and a shield. It can also be with a wand, no problem. But because of not using a staff, I can focus on not seeking dodge and dexterity. So let's talk about some alternative gear. Now, things you should be looking for are quick strike recovery, resistances, right? Damage and resistances, casting resistances and stats, armor and resistances, and casting speed as much as possible. Casting speed, obvious. I have this armor here as an alternative. Some more gear, this belt like dodge, casting speed, really good. This kind of ring, spell crit, that's pretty good actually for our case. A lot of energy, mana points, and something similar here. As you can see, casting speed, resistances, and another important thing, I believe, maybe for all builds in this game, is HP regen. Look at this, 30 per second. Might not seem much, but in our case, 30 is quite a lot, actually. It makes me almost not use health potion at all. Now, let's get to why. On the skill tree. From the flame spells, I picked only meditation aura, because it increases my mana regen, and mana is really important for this build in particular, because it's a lightning oriented build and I'm using mystic armor here to additionally get damage reduction. Now, that's the main reason I didn't focus much on armor itself. Well, I tried to get as much as possible, but this can actually help a lot by mitigating all the damage and taking from the mana first. So the more mana, the better. And in our case, energy here also increases the damage, so the more the better, obviously. Now, let's get to the other skills and which are important, which I am using, why and when. Now, the main damage dealer here is Thundering Spear. You get this really early on, I think it was level 12, so you start dealing a lot of damage really early. Now, the other things that I'm using, I already talked about the shield. I tend to activate it even before it expires, so I don't lose this defense during combat. Make sure to do that, it helps a lot. And here I have Lightning Flash. This is actually teleport. Something really annoying about this teleport is you can't use it across obstacles. Like, look at this. I can't teleport there because I don't have direct path to there. But same goes here. Look at this, what happens, right? That could be kind of annoying until you get used to it, but it helps a lot to avoid certain attacks. The other two skills I'm using is this Thundering Field here, easily obtainable together with the shield when you reach level 24. So Thundering Field looks like this, and what it does is it actually stuns enemies. Just try not to fool yourself here because it says 0.1 seconds, but it hits, in my case, 14 times. And it can actually be a really good method to prevent many enemies from attacking you, especially the ranged ones. So this is a really necessary form of crowd control skill here. It's really good, especially when combined with Dark Thunder, which you can actually get really early on. It's on level 6. It produces this ball of lightning, which sucks in enemies, it pulls them together, and during this time, of course, they cannot attack you. So unless it's some kind of boss on the map or during the campaign, right? So you can imagine now we have passive mana regen and a shield to take less damage, 2 crowd control skills, and 1 damage dealing skill, which actually pierces through enemies, and especially if you can use the crowd control skills to align them together, one behind the other, and teleport to position yourself in such a way so you can shoot through many enemies at once. Well, I think you won't have many problems, so to say. Now, let's move on here to the Amulet Pack. It's mostly defensive, like resistance, mana, resistance, armor, energy, armor, resistance, armor, resistance, and energy. Unfortunately, I didn't find any yet to use this rune effect here. Loom, which I would be aiming at to increase my damage a lot, and hopefully it helps. Well, looks like it will. Alright, that's it, I guess, for the Amulet Pack. I just entered the end game, played a few Void Realm maps, so don't have the mad gear you might expect, right? World Ring here. I have 2 to Thundering Spear, that was quite lucky, but the rest not so much. So what I will be aiming at for the World Ring is to get as much as possible on my damage skill here, and possibly on the mastery skill to further increase its damage, and if possible on the mystic armor, because it will additionally help with damage reduction. Well, I guess that covers this build. Now, I've already mentioned another way to play this caster in this game, the Sorceress, with a staff. But have in mind it has to be the staff, right? Because you only get affixes from 1 item instead of 2, like a shield and a one-handed weapon, because dual wielding with staves on this caster is not a thing in this game. Also have in mind, if you're using a staff, I'm not aware that there's any blocking of attacks or spells in this game, like for example in PoE, so you have to also focus on evade and dodge and some dexterity gear for sure, because not being able to block attacks, this will require extremely high actions per minute from your side, and until you master this, you might not even like the class, so that's my suggestion here. Okay, let's discuss some other skills, like what I found while leveling the Sorceress. Flame skills, they tend to do more damage, but I didn't expect that Meteor Strike which will have such an insane cooldown to the point where it just doesn't do as much damage per second compared to, say, this lower level skill here. Well, it does on hit, but good luck hitting something with that, especially on higher difficulties where monsters move very fast. Yeah, just good luck. You will probably need some way to crowd control them, which doesn't come easy here, especially when you specialize in fire. Not to mention the shield here doesn't help much because it's focusing on damage, so you have to get specific gear in order to make the sorceress tanky here, and that might prove very difficult. Now, about frost skills here, frost spells, I believe this is one of the best. Frost burst bolt. Also, this could be really good. And I didn't actually really test if Frost Wall could negate ranged attacks like spells and arrows from archers, things like that. So that's on my to-do list, maybe, or with a new character, or with this one before it reaches level 60. So I could definitely try that. Should have done that maybe before the video, but yeah, maybe I'll do a follow-up. So we'll see about that. Now, this here, the freezing spear, is more like a glacial spike on Diablo 2. It's not really an offensive skill. You can use it for, let's say, if you're in a very dangerous situation and you would prefer to deal with it by attacking, like fight fire with fire, well, in this case, frost, but it actually freezes the enemies. They stop, they can't do anything, and this is a very good defense in my opinion. Now, the other thing here, maybe the Frost Sorceress will be really good with stuff. Why I'm saying this is because Frost Armor provides armor, and then you will not need to focus on strength, right? And you can only focus on you don't even need vitality, because you will not be using a shield, and shield requires vitality, right? So you can mostly focus on energy to get more mana to try to negate the damage. Well, that's the problem, right? You can't have more than one shield at a time. So by having a lot of energy, you will at least be able to equip energy gear, right? Let me see. Energy gear like this one, which will provide all resistances, and this is where you can get all your resistances and armor while using this skill. So I might want to actually try this build that I vaguely described right now. Well, that's what I think about the sorceress in this game for now. I will be playing this character more in the end game, Void Realm maps, probably until Diablo 4 Season 4 starts, because that's a game I would usually play every season, at least for a week, only hardcore. So if that's something that might interest you, make sure to also hop in on some of my live streams. And I think I pretty much explained a lot about the Sorceress, which is not even my main class in games. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So let me know what you think about this build and my introduction and explanation to the Sorceress. I hope you find it helpful. Like I said, not much to add here. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you on the next live stream or video. Zeiss out. Take care.